COSATU will today join millions of workers around the world in commemorating Workers' Day. The trade unions, the federation rather, is holding its May Day rallies countrywide, with the main event taking place at the Bethlehem Showgrounds in the Free State. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to deliver a message of support on behalf of his party. During last year's event in the Northwest, Ramaphosa left without addressing the workers after he was heckled and booed. COSATU has said it does not anticipate any disruptions today. Meanwhile, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, is set to lead an ANC delegation at the Pretoria leg of the event. The South African Federation of Trade Unions, or SAFTU for short, will also commemorate Workers' Day across 5 provinces. Union members will embark on rallies in Limpopo, Free State, Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. They will also be stationed in KwaZulu-Natal to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Durban strikes. The event will honor at least 100,000 African and Indian industrial workers who downed tools calling for wage increases. The demonstrations paved the way for the formation of independent and non-racial trade unions. All right, let's get an update from our reporters who are stationed at various provinces. And we start with Refiloe Seboko. And you are in Vryburg, that's in the Northwest. Talk to us about what the feeling is on the ground there from the workers. Is there something to celebrate many years into democracy?
Well, Cleli, I think we'll find out just as workers will be coming here in Vryburg, rather. This is where the May Day celebration is being held here in the Northwest Province. Not much has happened as yet, but you'll remember that COSATU in the Northwest has called workers in their numbers to say they must come today and attend this Workers' Day celebration. But let's welcome Kopano Kunupi. He is the General Secretary General of COSATU in the Northwest Province. Thank you so much and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Let's talk about today in Tate Kunupi. Is there much to celebrate when we are talking about workers?
Yes, there is much to celebrate, but at the same time, the challenges that are facing the workers are still continuing because we have seen the amendment in terms of the laws in favor of the workers. We are seeing the continued improvement of the workers, but at the same time, we have seen the rising unemployment, the rising inequalities between the pays between the executives and the workers, and we are seeing poverty levels becoming very, very deep, and at the same time we see that the bosses continue to reap some profit in there. Yes, that is why we are saying at this May Day we call for unity of the workers. Workers cannot afford to be divided when they are under siege. Workers must unite. There must be a spirit of solidarity amongst the workers. Otherwise, if there's no unity of the workers, we will lose the gains that we have since the dawn of democracy. The dawn of democracy have seen many, many progressive labor laws. One of the most recent things was the introduction of the minimum wage, which benefited a lot of workers who are working in the vulnerable sector. So there are many, many gains that we can talk about, but we say that we must continue to celebrate this in defense of those gains and in advancing of the new struggles.
And with some challenges that are there that workers are faced with, your engagements with government, with employers, how are you happy with how those engagements are going?
We have seen the resistance and the resurgence from the employers, and we see the advancement of the new liberal agenda in terms of the business and the employers. And we say that this calls for workers to be more united, because if we are united, we will never succumb this, we will never win all these battles that we are seeing. And we are seeing that the employers are much more organized this time, and it calls for workers to be organized at the same level as the employers are.
And it was last year in Tate Kunupi when the May Day celebration that was held in Rustenburg that was supposed to be addressed by the President Cyril Ramaphosa did not happen because we saw workers as still workers. They were very angry. What does they feel like, especially within the mining sector?
We have witnessed the issues of the disruptions, in particular when the ANC is coming to address our activity. And we have met as COSATU, the Central Executive Committee. We made an assessment and we are pleading and have called to all the workers that the ANC is not coming in here as an employer, is coming in here as our ally. That is why we call on all the workers that they must be united. All alliance partners must be able to allow to address all activities of the COSATU in the northwest and all over the country. And we have talked to the workers all over the weekend, and we have been talking to them. The mood has changed, and they understood to say that the ANC is coming in as our ally. There's no need to disrupt the ANC and to chase them away from our activities.
And as you've rightfully just said, Ntate Kunupi, that yes, you've made some progress, but there are also some challenges. In terms of today in particular, the keynote address that will be happening today, when we are looking at the cost of living, the rising cost of living, the inflation and stuff, what should be a point of focus, or what will be a point of focus, and workers, what should they expect in what will be said today, considering the state of affairs of workers in the country as a whole?
When it comes to the economy, I think the key focus it will be on the issues of there must be transformation in the economy. We must have the economy that is able to create jobs, that is able to build sustainable communities. We must be able to deal with the issues of load shedding, which has got an impact in terms of the job creation where we are in our country. So that will be a key focus in terms of our message. And the other key focus is about the building the unity of the workers and to build solidarity amongst the workers throughout the country and the world.
Thank you so much for your time, Kopano Kunupi. He is the Secretary General of COSATU in the Northwest Province, and as the commemoration or the celebration of May Day is happening here in Vryburg.
Refiloe Seboko, thank you very much for that update. All right, let's take you now to Bethlehem, and that is where the main event of this May Day rally or day is going to be celebrated. Govan Whittles is at the venue. Govan, good morning to you. The Free State Province, when it comes to May Day, it may hold some bad memories for ANC presidents. It started with President Jacob Zuma in that province back in 2017, booed. President Ramaphosa has had his own taste of this in the Northwest. What's expected to happen this year?
Unpredictable at this stage. Only we can't say whether or not they'll boo President Cyril Ramaphosa when he addresses this main May Day rally. What we can say is that he is scheduled to address. Interestingly, last year, the president of the ANC was meant to give the keynote address at the May Day rally. Zingisa Losi, the president of COSATU, speaking before the ANC president. That's interesting because usually the ANC delivers a message of support before the formal speech is delivered by the COSATU president. It happened the other way around last year. Of course, we know that after the president of COSATU, Zingisa Losi, spoke, President Cyril Ramaphosa didn't. He was whisked away in a police nyala. This time, COSATU's held an urgent meeting. Its senior leadership, it's resolved to instruct workers not to boo the president, not to disrupt the May Day rally when the ANC attempts to deliver that message of support. But giving the instruction and actually achieving it is two different things. And we know that Nahau has said that they'll tell their workers not to do that. But at the end of the day, the workers are very angry about what's happened in the public sector. The initial 3% increase that was imposed on them, unilaterally implemented by the government, and then the agreement for multi-year agreement that was just signed with just over 50% of the workers signing that agreement, SATU being one union that agreed, the Public Servants Association being another representative body that agreed, but the majority of COSATU's unions still being out on strike at that time. So there is still a lot of bad blood between public sector workers and President Cyril Ramaphosa. We're coming to you from this hilltop. Behind me is the Solplaiki Dam. That's, of course, where the bus crash happened in 2003, where 51 COSATU members died. died. They were on their way back to Kimberley. 12 of them were rescued. It was a 60-seater bus, overloaded at the time, but of course there was some criticism of the driver who had opted to take this route, which is not a designated route. There you'll see some COSATU members, they're going down to the edge of the dam where they'll have a wreath-laying ceremony at the memorial site there, which had been erected after the accident. It's a dead zone in terms of signal. We'll try to give you some live reporting from there a little later with the COSATU leadership. Not clear at this stage if we will be able to do that, but we'll send those visuals through as soon as we can. That is important because they're trying to foreground this bus crash as part of today's May Day celebrations around the country. The ANC and COSATU are at a standoff, not only because of the public sector, because of COSATU's decision to endorse the SACP contesting the polls. The ANC's chairperson says any attempt to contest the elections by the SACP or this reconfiguration of the alliance is an attempt to liquidate the ANC, remove it from its position as leader of the alliance. So there's a lot of tension in the air, and they're hoping to use this commemoration to find a point of unity, which they can all agree on, and then move forward from that in terms of addressing some of the more pressing issues that the workers of today are facing.
Govan Whittles live for us in the Free State province, and that's where the president of the ANC will join his alliance partners and deliver their keynote address.